Hey guys, it's Greg by the Bootstraps, btbootstraps.com. Check out the store, check out social media, links will be below. Today's video is something I saw in the news, very interesting. It was a report on Fox News that the U.S. bombed an ISIS-infested island in Iraq today, and it showed the video. And so I'm just going to read from this news story real quick. It said more than 80,000 pounds of laser-guided bombs were dropped on the island located on the Tigris River south of Mosul, according to the U.S. Army colonel. That is awesome. I saw the video, and it was just bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. It went on for like several minutes, actually. Maybe even longer. They didn't have the entire video, but they did show like snippets of it. What's interesting is that, this island has been known to harvest or hold these ISIS terrorist groups for a long time now. But for whatever reason, we've not had the ability, or we didn't have the cooperation of the governments around them to actually go in and do what they did today. Or maybe it was yesterday. They didn't say when this operation happened. They just reported it today, so I'm sure it probably happened maybe sometime last week, or who knows. But I posted that on my Facebook page, on our BT Bootstraps Facebook page, and I actually had someone shedding a tear, for ISIS. And the guy who was shedding the tear, he's an American. I've seen his Facebook page. I've gone and looked at him. I've seen some of his comments, and he's very sympathetic towards a lot of causes that, quite frankly, I don't understand why he follows and likes our page, because a lot of what he finds interesting is nothing of what our page stands for. So I don't know, maybe it's a glutton for punishment, but I started looking at that and I'm thinking, I had to go back to the story that I read it on. I was reading the comments, and people were, showing sympathy to ISIS. Like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. We should have shown the terrorist organization some sympathy. Okay. All right. Well, let's go back to this last weekend, where Trump was going to have leaders of ISIS over at Camp David to negotiate peace talks or some kind of peace settlement so that we could find our way out of Afghanistan. And before that happening, just last week, an ISIS soldier blew up a car bomb. Actually, I think it was 2 car bombs, and it killed 12 individuals, to include 1 American soldier. Right? That was before their so-called meeting with Trump, and they think the reason why it happened because it was their way of bringing a more powerful hand of negotiating to the table. Boy, they picked the wrong president to do that to, because he called it off and said, you know what, I don't deal with that. He even came out, I think it was yesterday, and said, they made a horrible decision and they're going to pay. And if this was retaliation for that, good, glad. We need more actions like that. These people who don't understand, who have not seen the videos, who have not maybe looked at other news outlets besides, outside of like CNN or Fox or whatever, there's a plethora of news out there about ISIS and what these guys do, and the horrendous acts of violence that they commit. The decapitations, the burning men alive in cages, drowning them alive in cages, hanging them upside down and slitting their throats and blowing them up and burying them down to their heads and putting explosives on their necks and things like that. There's a video where they ran over a guy with a tank, and that's just some of the things that are easily found. That doesn't count all the beheadings with swords and knives and things like that. That doesn't count the videos of them, stealing children and forcing them to learn that ideology, and forcing children to practice severing heads with baby dolls, and then moving on up to actual victims. Or the video that's out there of the 8-year-old kid who shot a grown man in the head for training. You guys, these particular people can deliberately turn a blind eye to what's actually going on. And you can look at ISIS or any kind of those organizations and think, oh, they're just trying to, they're just trying to secure their way of life, or they're fighting for a cause and this and that. You can always look at it from a different perspective if you're not looking at all the information. But I implore you to look at the entire story. If you truly seen the atrocities that these people have committed, willfully, by the way, I can understand an act of violence in a wartime situation. if you're defending something, if you're defending family, country, way of life, I could totally understand that in that circumstances. Someone comes over and invades you. They try to force, they try to force you out of your living circumstances. They try to force you out of your way of life, and you're defending yourself. Very much like what we did in the Revolutionary War. I can totally get behind that and say, hey, acts of violence at those times are completely acceptable. Within reason. I mean, there's a difference between an act of violence as in defending yourself and fighting off an enemy to win a war versus sadistic violence. You can certainly kill an enemy in self-defense or even on the offense, but that's vastly different than torturing and inhumanely slaughtering people simply because they're different than you. I don't understand how anyone could be sympathetic to ISIS, especially if you have seen the things that are out there that are readily available. You could easily find all this stuff. Every one of those videos I just mentioned, you could find them, and it would take you a Google search. All right, you could go to some of the other news organizations that are not so mainstream. Look at the news outlets and sources that are not in America, and you could find a plethora of stories. I personally liked, what I saw today. I couldn't think of it happening to a better group of individuals than a horrendous, terrorist, murderous, sadistic society or group of individuals. They're no different than Al-Qaeda, they're no different than Hezbollah and all the Boko Haram and stuff like that. I mean, I know they're different groups and they have different reasons for what they're doing, but their atrocities are just as horrendous. So, as far as I'm concerned, good riddance. And actually, I wish we would fight all wars like this. If we can sit there and target, with jets and bombs and laser guided missiles and things like that, why can't we do that when it comes to other operations? That's where I want to see and get to a point to where we're not sending young men and women into combat zones to go door to door. If that means some casualties, collateral damage, oh well, we'll tell you where we're going, and it's up to the people to rat out, the ISIS members, or, I don't know, kill them yourselves. Whatever works. Anyway, that's all I got on this one. If you want to check out the video, I'll see if I can't link the video that I found on the news source. That way you guys can see it. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you later.